Welcome to Gran Torino Planet. My name is Richard Brittany. Ever since I had acquired my first 1973 yellow Gran Torino Sport as a freshman back in high school in 1978, I've had a love for all the 70 Torinos and all the muscle cars from my youth. The 73 Torino was one of the last muscle cars ever built. So join me for Torino restorations, repairs, mishaps, and more. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. See you all on the road. This week, we're going to discuss our gear drive failure. Oh, what a mess this is. Well, sometimes we make bad decisions, and this gear drive for me was a really bad decision. Probably from China. Decided to put this in, so I had a stretched out timing change my 351 Cobra Jet motor, 36,000 original miles. And lo and behold, 6 months later, I hear valve bending, and I pull it apart, and look what I find. A destroyed dog leg. Yep, perfect. Motor rebuild time. Great. Well, before we could figure out it was bad gear set, I had backfiring through the carburation. Car just made tons of noise, and heard clunking, and that was it. I figured something was seriously wrong in the motor, and it was. Pulled the motor out of the car, and that was not fun on a 110-degree day, with no great tools and all that. We're just me and my buddy here yanking the block out. As soon as we get the block out, we find bent rods. About 2 or 3 of them, I believe, was what it was. So once we got the rods out, we decided to pull the heads, and there's our bent valves. We had 2 bent valves, like 3 bent rockers, bent push rods. It was a mess. So here we are, cruising season, and I got to pull my block apart and looking at spending thousands of dollars for machine work I was not prepared to do. So, I figured while I had the block out, I wanted to confirm that these Cobra Jet motors were in fact 4-bolt main, and my block is an actual 4-bolt main. You can notice in these gear drive is missing center section. We found the gears and the dog leg crumpled, lying in the bottom of the block, all wrapped around one of the piston rods, which just great. Metal shards everywhere. So now it's time to break the engine down and get it to the machine shop, and hope to heck I can have it done by end of summer. We'll see. Further inspection on the block showed no more damage. Our cylinder walls looked good, no gouges. Our lifter bores looked good. No visible cracks were able to be seen at this point. So Susie Q's motor is off to the New Albany, Indiana machine shop, where Josh will go ahead and do the cleanup and rebuild. Once there, he had cleaned the engine where we could actually see the original numbers once again. Now the motor is good and clean, and we've had it punched out 30 thousandths over. The motor has been decked and honed. The main journals have been line honed, so we're getting really close now to do a piston install. We went with the Keith Black pistons, dome topped, along with some really nice Molly rings. So with the compression we're looking at here is 10 to 5 to 1. It looks like I'm going to have to run some high test fuel mixed with racing fuel on this motor in order to get the benefits, hopefully some really decent horsepower out of this 351 Cleveland. Well, now that Josh has got the motor almost assembled, the cam dialed in, our heads installed, we're almost ready to paint this block, get the motor back into the car, and finally be able to break in this block. We've used some really good driven oil and driven break-in lube. It's the best you can get from what I'm told. Now it's time for the distributor, and I selected the Precision Ignition Distributor, which you can control from your smartphone. This thing is fantastic. I love it. So once that's installed, we'll set it at 10 degrees and get ready. Well, we finally got the motor back. It's in my truck. It took us a while to get her cleaned up, painted up. It was a task. Got our harmonic balancer back in, made sure our water pump is on, put our valve covers together, made sure all the seals look good there. We'll touch up the bottom of the paint once I can get it up off the bed of the truck. At this point, I'm going to truck it over to my buddy John's house, where we're going to actually start to install this back into the Torino. Well, now the weather's better since it's been over 5 months since we pulled the engine out and we're able to get it back to put in the car. Our task today is going to be trying to get this engine to get back in the car with the cherry picker that doesn't like to reach in from the front. We have to go in from the side with the wheel off the car, which is a lot of fun if you've ever tried this hack. Well, finally got the motor back in. We pulled the transmission because we were replacing the tranny, the C6, with the brand new 4-speed we had rebuilt earlier at Alan's house. So with that transmission ready to go, we put the clutch pedals in and all that stuff have been set up. We're almost ready to go to his house to break in this motor and break in the new transmission. Well, another issue is my original air cleaner won't sit flat because my new carb sits lower and the new distributor is holding it way up in the air. Finally, the air cleaner issue we'll deal with later, but the car is ready and loaded on the flatbed on its way to Alan's house, where we're actually going to break in the motor, install the new 4-speed, and hopefully have this car back on the road. Well, Shiite Muslim. After thousands of dollars and months of motor work, what happens? Another Chinese nightmare. We had a break-in meltdown. Stay tuned for next episode.